Greetings. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Death Tax and Sports Podcast. Boy, oh boy, there's been a lot that has happened over these last several weeks, but we are here live to you. I'm here with my fellow Johnson Wells alum, Mr. Ben Stats Holloway. Sir, you need to change that to Ben Stats Holloway. We need you to do that.
Yes.
For marketing purposes, just saying. And we're here with Marisa the Queen Tickney. I know you guys think it's a running joke, but I swear to God, FedEx, you guys are doing such a terrible job waiting for that damn crown to come. I don't know what the hell's happening. I'm sorry. I haven't given up, Tickney, but I promise you it's coming.
It's because you made it out of 14 karat gold and put enough diamonds in it that could choke a whole entire basketball team. And we saw some chokes. So, you know.
Yes, we sure did. Yes, we sure did.
It's scaring everyone off. With so many sparkles and glitter, it's just scaring everybody else.
Yeah, indeed.
The reason it hasn't gotten there. That's it.
Right.
But hopefully Gary the Legend Johnson wakes up from his nap, his long slumber, and all that fun stuff. But hey, we have NBA Finals to discuss. We have Eastern Conference, Western Conference, choke jobs, Stanley Cup Finals. We're actually going to talk hockey for a change. And we're going to talk about the absolutely putrid and horrific Colorado Rockies for like 2 seconds because they're just absolute trash and we have to bash them because that's what we do here. We talk trash about teams that are terrible. But anyway, first, we have NBA Eastern Conference, but we first have to talk about the news. Tibbs getting fired. I actually went on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it. There's been a lot of discussions, a lot of varying degree of opinions. Ben, I know you have a lot of thoughts, so I'm going to let you go second, but I'm going to go to Tickney first because I know you have a lot of thoughts to share on that, and I want to give you time. But Tickney, your thoughts.
Well, there you go, Knicks fans. Your wishes and dreams of a coach that literally disappointed you, even though that he took your team to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. And I'll say about half of you Knicks fans weren't even born yet when that last occurrence happened. But yet, for some reason, when coaches do well, either bring a championship to their team or their name, unfortunately, is Mike. We have seen them get dismissed from their teams. This is, I think we off camera had talked about if Tibbs does not take this team to the championship or, win it, whatever the case is, it's going to literally be championship or bust. And the next coach that they bring in has got some massive shoes to fill because it's not going to be just, I can get your teams to the Eastern Conference Finals. No, it's going to have to be where you take this team to the NBA Finals, let alone win it. So for this man to take this team 4 out of 5 times in his 5-year tenure, give them a 50-win season this past season, it just lets me know the trend that we're seeing, gentlemen, with coaches that have done very well in their respectable programs. It can't be just about the coaching, even though that Tibbs, yes, ran only a 9-player rotation in one of the recent games, which we all talked about on our chat and was questioning his motive of, and you had Mikal Bridges was going, okay, do you not trust your bench? Why are you only doing a 9-person rotation? Like, what is going on there? So yeah, there was some rumblings in the pot, but nevertheless, 5 seasons, 4 of them, he took you to the postseason. This one was the best season that y'all had. Literally, Karl Anthony Towns was, I would say, pretty much the best season that we saw him have in a Knicks uniform. Jalen Brunson coming in his own, Mikal Bridges. You saw pockets of, OG here or there, and this team has the talent. And we saw it many times coming back in the fourth quarter when they were down double digits. I think what they need to get is a coach that wants this team, this talented team with a couple key pieces that they might get in the draft or, trades or whatever it is to run it back and beyond. Hopefully they can. They're gonna need some. They definitely have the leadership. It is more so of them having the confidence of if they're going to take charge of a game, they need to take charge of a game all 4 quarters. Yes, it's great that you did against the Detroit Pistons and against the Boston Celtics. You came back in the fourth quarter and you proved that you belonged. You beat a team that won the championship last year, an up-and-coming Pistons team, and you gave everything you can to the Indiana Pacers. Mind you, a few of your great players were banged up. But this next coach, gentlemen, is going to have to do something with this team again to take them beyond not just the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks organization is looking for a coach that's going to take them all the way to the finals. And my last point with this, and I just, again, going back to these coaches that have done very well for their respectable programs, the common thread that I'm seeing, gentlemen, is that it's not just about winning. It seems like that literally any coach is vulnerable. It has to be something where the coach and the upper office somehow is not gelling. Because why would you get rid of an individual who got you to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years? Why would you get rid of a coach that took you to the NBA Finals and won you a championship in the Denver Nuggets? Why would you get rid of a coach that has done very well for you, turning things around, and let alone you have one player that had some off the court issues with the Memphis Grizzlies? It's just like you just try to figure out, it can't be just a coaching issue. Yes, there's players that have to gel with the head coach. I understand that completely, but something with the upper office and the coach itself is something going on. And so, yes, we all talked about Tibbs moving on. But in this realm, I believe he should have at least been given one more season.
I mean, very well said. My mind might almost change because of that. There's a lot of good points. A lot of good points. I might be in the minority, but go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so I think that these things are layered. Things are not always, 1 + 1 = 2. Things are not, most of the time, things are not that simple. I think there's a lot to that in this case. To me, I wouldn't have made the change unless there is a clear and obvious upgrade. For example, the Falcons, when they almost hired Belichick, right? That was a clear, obvious upgrade from what they had. And if the Eagles were going to fire, obviously he won a Super Bowl now, so they're not going to do that, although maybe in a couple of years when he's not doing well, right? It is Philadelphia. But when there were some conversations about firing, can't even think, Sirianni, right? Nick Sirianni.
Sirianni.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sirianni. There we go. The only really replacement that would have made sense that people were saying, well, only if they get Belichick and then we're good with it. And for me, there's not a clear and obvious upgrade. Like, there are a lot of coaches who've had success in the league too that have won championships. Budenholzer with the Bucks, who obviously was just recently with the Suns. Michael Malone, who won with the Nuggets. Both of those things happened in the last 5 years, by the way. We're not talking about too long ago. So yes, they've won. So they're accomplished, right? They've done good. There's also talk, which I think is nonsense, and I don't really think they'll go this route. But obviously, Jay Wright, he coached all those boys at Villanova, but I don't think they're even going to have that conversation. I don't think that's a phone call they're going to make. That would be way too risky for a roster that is close. It's not about making your players happy with the coach. You can't just be like, well, we got a lot of Villanova guys, so let's just hire a coach that's never coached in the NBA. He'll take us to the promised land. Like, I don't think that's happening. As far as what's out there otherwise, like, those coaches, yeah, they've won, but like, they're not like, I mean, let's be honest. You need talent to win a championship. There's no denying that. But Tibbs has never had someone as great as Giannis. Tibbs has never had someone as great as Jokic. Those two coaches won championships partially because they had top 3 players in the entire league at the time that those championships were won. So, yes, they have a championship and Tibbs doesn't, but I mean, they also had a better team, right? So, I mean, is it a small upgrade? I think possibly, but it's not a significant upgrade to me where it's a clear and obvious choice. And also, by the way, it's all fun for the media, for us, anyone who does podcasts, the news, all of that, to talk about replacements and who might come. The reality is you might not get who you want. And the people that we're discussing or in the next couple of weeks and debating about on shows, only one of those 5 or 6 candidates that are going to be talked about are actually going to get the job. So I can see it to an extent. My thing would be this. I mean, the series played out where most reasonable people could see that Indiana had the better team. But going into the series, the majority of the people picked the Knicks. Now, clearly, as the series played out, it was pretty clear that Indiana had the better team. But to me, your favorite, that it had opened up, right? It's about the expectations at the beginning of the season for the Knicks, even during the season, compared to what they became because of circumstance. Cleveland's out. Boston's out. You beat Boston. Congratulations. And arguably, Tatum stays healthy. They still would have won that series. So there's no asterisk to that to me. They're about to go 3-1 up. So you beat Boston. Cleveland's out. It had opened up. Now your expectations are higher because you're the team with the best record who just beat the defending champs. So your expectations kind of increased based on circumstances. So you didn't reach those expectations because you were the favorite going in to the series, and it was your best window or best opportunity possibly to go to the championship, and didn't happen. So, but to me, it's not as simple as that. Okay, so you didn't win a series that you should have won or could have won, but then it's like, well, what were the expectations in the beginning of the season? You overachieved. And at the end of the season, you underachieved technically. So it's kind of like, to me, it kind of evens out a little bit. Like you had a good season. You had a lot of success. The first Knicks coach to have back-to-back 50-win seasons since before the 2000s. So I get it to an extent. There is a side conversation. I know I ran on a tangent here, but the only other thing that I would say is there is a feeling, which we can't prove, but there's a feeling that Tibbs is the guy to get you here, to this close, but not over the top. And that's, how it was with the Bulls. Although, to be honest, he ran into D Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. How was he?
Yeah,
it wasn't beating that.
Yeah.
I will stop there. I know it took a lot of time.
Yeah, no, Ben, I think that's a perfect transition because for me, I'm in the minority and I'm getting ripped apart for it, but I think it was the right move. But it's one of those moves where I wouldn't have been disappointed if we had said, okay, Tibbs stays. I think Tibbs is a great foundational. I think he is a culture builder. I think he's a guy that can build a program and put you in a position to get to the next level, but I don't think he's the guy to take you to the level, if that makes sense. There's been a lot of success that he's had over the last 5 years, but up until that Celtics series, they were 0-12 against the top three seeds of the top three teams.
Yep.
He did not use his bench at all. 1-3-8. And I know I'm about to be Jeff Stats long for a second here. Usually this is your job, Ben. I'm taking your job, but no. Their top five played the most minutes per average through the 82 game season. Bridges was first in minutes played. I think Brunson was third, and OG Anunoby was eighth. For a defensive-minded coach, there was too many defensive miscues and misses during this series that put them in horrific positions in the first place. And you look at the last game where they would score, then they would give up a shot, and just some of the execution offensively was just absolutely terrible. Yes, they made it to the first Eastern Conference Finals, but I feel that series against Boston, albeit they did it, to me it wasn't like resoundingly, like overwhelmingly, like an impressive series win, right? It was they had a couple lucky breaks, and to me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, they didn't win that series necessarily because of Tibbs. They won because Boston just completely crapped the bed.
Yeah.
And those two games, they got very lucky. Very lucky. And it took Herculean effort. So when I look at this team,
the teams last year the Celtics got lucky last year with the East wasn't as strong. They didn't need Porzingis. This year you needed Porzingis.
They needed Porzingis.
He was a ghost. He helped the Knicks more than he helped the Celtics.
And that was they got exposed because of that.
Yeah.
They got away with it last year.
Exactly.
But this year, these Eastern Conference teams learned from last year watching the Boston Celtics. And Porzingis was a hit or miss as far as his health is concerned. And so, and then Tatum went down and it literally, it was over for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're looking to try to get to the next level, I just don't think Tibbs is the guy. I just don't think he's it. I think he had great success, but they were all in. And for me, it was a championship or bust because I look at the talent on this team, and this team was talented enough, in my opinion, to be able to win a championship. I don't care what no one else says. I feel like we're not giving the Knicks starting five enough credit. Like, that's a pretty goddamn good collection of starting five. That's a really good starting five. And to not make it to the finals and to lose the way they did was absolutely atrocious. So we'll see. Mike Malone might be the next coach, but I don't even know if Mike Malone is even that much better than Tibbs.
I mean, listen, I already said, I did a video earlier and I said, Mike Malone, everybody's talking about Mike Malone, but if Michael Malone says no, who do you go with? And I said, plot twist, could be Mark Jackson, or could we lure away Jason Kidd from a chaotic Dallas Mavericks?
I think it'd be Jason Kidd. I think Jason Kidd would be perfect.
I think that blindsided whole Luka trade rattled him. And I don't care what anybody says, like you sitting next to your boss during that whole entire press conference, body language tells a story. And his was just like, why am I even here? Because this wasn't even discussed with me.
Cooper flag.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But we took about 17 minutes of this episode talking about that. I figured it was a fun, juicy topic. I was in a work meeting when I saw it, and I was like, my boss is like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. It's something sports is. I'm like, yeah.
You gotta love sports.
Hey, yeah, man. I like it. All right, let's get to this one. Let's maybe spend, a couple minutes on, well, we could take a little bit of time on Eastern Conference, Eastern Conference recap. Spend just a couple seconds on each. We'll see how it goes. We'll play it out. But Ben, Eastern Conference Finals, give me your thoughts. I feel this was a lost opportunity, terrible miscues. You go ahead and Tigney, wrap it up.
Yeah, so the other part that so far we all made excellent points like we normally do.
Oh, thank you.
But we did not say that there should have been a game 7 if they didn't blow game 1. And there would have been a game 7 last night. And then the conversation today could be the Knicks reach the NBA Finals.
Knicks would have won that.
And exactly. And that's, I mean, partially, to blow a 20-point lead and to blow especially a 14-point lead with less than 3 minutes left, like, I'm sorry, the coaches has to take some responsibility for that. Have to. So that's the other component that we hadn't mentioned. So that was obviously a huge loss and definitely changed the series. But I'm going to live up to my nickname of stats and hit you with 4 here. So for the series, bench points plus 93 for Indiana. Points off turnovers plus 79. Fast break points plus 58. And assists plus 35. I mean, there's no team that's winning that and winning a series overcoming all of that. 2 out of those 4, maybe, but all of that. I mean, bench points 93 in 6 games. That's quick math. That's a little bit over 15 a game more. Points off turnovers. That's like 13 points more. Fast break points is basically 10 points more per game. Like you're not overcoming that. You can't. You just can't. And those were just eye-popping. Like that. There's a reason that we don't normally see 4 categories on a screen at the same time with stats. There's not normally 4 that are that, swayed or dominated by one team. The fact that 4 statistics like that were on the screen at the same time, talking about a series.
Repeat them one more time, Ben, for the listeners.
Bench points plus 93 for Indiana. Points off turnovers plus 79. Fast break points plus 58. And assists plus 35.
So if you say, just real quick, if you say those stats and you say, okay, is that justifiable to still keep Tibbs for a defensive coach?
Yeah. The fast break points is kind of what stands out to me, and the points of turnovers. The bench points, I mean, Indiana plays 10 guys. For the most part, the Knicks played 7 until the last 3 games or so. Yeah. So the bench points, that's to me, if you said that would be the final line at the end of the series, most people are like, okay, well, that's expected. But the points off turnovers and the fast break points, that's the two that stand out to me, because Brunson is, he's in a way sort of like Harden. He dribbles the ball a lot. There's not going to be a ton of assists for the Knicks. So that also, you could think that Indiana would win that. But the two in the middle, points off turnovers, 80 points in 6 games, that's like 14 a game just on fast break points. I mean, points off turnovers. And on fast break points, it's basically 10 a game, 58 over 6 games. Like, you're not, those two to me, if you had lost one of those two, you might be in the NBA Finals right now. Well, you lost them both, and by lopsided numbers too. That's just insane that those numbers are so inflated. And that's a big reason Indiana's where they are in the NBA Finals for the first time since 2000. I just think that going into the series, the Knicks were, they were projected to have, they had the better starting 5. The Pacers had the better depth, but in the playoffs, usually the top players, the team with the most out of the top, 6 players in the series, the team that has 4 usually is going to win that series. It's not really, which is why majority of the people pick the Knicks. That's not how it played out. And I think that the lack of adjustments from Tibbs' perspective, not enough adjustments, was a big thing. And that, I mean, I just think that for the most part, how the series played out, Tibbs has to have some responsibility for it, especially the fast break points. That's and the points off turnovers. That's those two. That's, I mean, let's be honest. That's mostly effort, and the turnovers is carelessness, which also can be part of effort as well.
Yeah,
those are a couple of things the coach should be able to control.
Yeah, and Tigney, I want to. And just real quick, Tigney, and before you go into your recap, Tigney, I'm just going to throw one question. Who should be a candidate that should be replaced on that roster? Who would you get rid of first? And then feel free to go into your thought. I'm just curious.
On the Knicks roster?
Yeah, on the Knicks roster. Who has to go?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me get into that. Let me think about that. Let me ponder. Let me marinate on that. And then I'll get back with you.
If you're getting Giannis, it's Towns. The only way you're going to get Giannis.
I think it really depends on the coach they get, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, right now, that shouldn't even, that whole Giannis sweepstakes is on the side. They have to get the right coach to make the right move, the right positioning for them to think about running it back. So as soon as they get the right candidate to take them further than the Eastern Conference Finals, because the fan base is there. The seats were there. I mean, people, the highest ticket that I saw was $500 for nosebleed to the ultimate nosebleed. And the seats on the court were in the 50,000 plus. So people in New York are going to pay to, have bragging rights about, bringing in a championship. So, the fan base is there. It has to be, again, the right head coach. And I don't care what anybody says, it's going to be fan influence. I don't care about that they will say, that the powers that be for the Knicks, that they made the right decision and all this other stuff. It's going to be fan influence, just like, the Green Bay Packers fans are the ones that run the team. This is going to be the same thing for the New York fans. But anyways, as we go on to just real quick, the overlay of this, my big thing, and I talked to you gentlemen about this, was the battle of the bigs. It was between Karl Anthony Towns and not Miles Turner. Karl Anthony Towns and Miles Turner, and who was going to be that utility knife that was just not going to be just the dunker or the one that was going to box out in the paint. They was going to have to be that person that made their free throws, that made anywhere their 2-point shots, 3-point shots. Karl Anthony Towns was averaging 21.6 points with 11 rebounds on average. So on paper, it looked like, again, if we had the Knicks tie up game 6, I agree wholeheartedly with you, Jeff. The Knicks would have won this in 7. because of the fact that they have, on paper, they look like that they could have just like turned the tables and just shocked a whole lot of people. But we already seen the Knicks already shock a whole lot of people with eliminating an up-and-coming Pistons team who led several games by double digits, and they came back and won it. And then you eliminated the NBA champions in the Boston Celtics. I said it was going to be all about the bigs, and then it was going to filter out from your point guards from there between Halliburton and Brunson. The move that they made, and I wasn't too sold on that from when they benched Josh Hart and they started Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I didn't care for that, and I thought that was going to hinder it, along with him only rotating 9 guys. I said, this is going to be a problem because basically you're hanging the rest of your team that you don't trust out to dry. And if you had the trust that you saw in the 2 previous teams and opponents that you played, then why wouldn't you make the adjustments, keep who you had Mitchell Robinson come off of the bench, be that key role for you when he is subbed in, and continue to frustrate Halliburton as they did, not get Obi Toppin so hot on certain plays in I'm thinking a couple of players that's going to come to me in a minute, but that's the change. I just didn't understand why he did that and what was the result, the positive result that he was looking for as far as that. I just don't think that made a big contribution. But to wrap it all up, those key mistakes from Thibodeau, who I agree with you, does need to be held accountable. Had they tied this series up, I think wholeheartedly for sure they would have won an MSG in front of that massive crowd, and we would be talking about a whole different NBA final. But it's here nor there. They now need to find a coach. And to go back to your initial question of who they should get rid of, if they are seriously looking for getting Giannis, yes, they would have to get rid of Karl Anthony Towns. I would say also, I don't know, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I would get rid of Karl Anthony Towns, get rid of OG, and you're going to have to give up a pick and some cash considerations if you're going to try to run it back next year.
Yeah, no, I mean,
probably going to be a 3-player draft pick and cash considerations, but I mean, Karl Anthony Towns would be a big one. I think he would fit into the Doc Rivers flow of things, even though I have y'all heard me on this show talk about Doc Rivers. I'm sure we have our humblest opinions about Doc Rivers and his coaching style and all that. But if they are seriously wanting to be contenders, again, it starts with who they're going to hire. And from the hiring spot, that's where the hard cuts are going to be if they're going to try to entertain Giannis to come to New York.
Yeah, and that's that's a good one. For one, I think Cat is overrated. There's just something about him I just don't like.
Cat saved them in several games, not just Brunson, but Cat saved them in several games. And Cat is, if this whole thing happened and they brought Giannis, which would be a big, talk to do and somewhat subside the crazy news that we've had this offseason, or now the offseason that just ended. I mean, obviously, Dallas fans are still hurting about the Luka thing, but that would literally be the creme de la creme big move that would happen off season if they were able to obtain Giannis in a 3-player trade, giving up a draft pick, and then, some cash consideration. So, we shall see about that if here or there. But again, like I said, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, it starts with who they're going to hire to make that kind of move.
Yeah, I mean, this team is still was an immensely talented team, and you got to look at it on both sides. First, you got to look at Leon Rose for not doing everything he could to give them the additional player or two that could have made the difference. I also think they were just worn down because, again, the number of minutes that the Knicks starting 5 had to play. And I agree with the Mitchell Robinson thing, and especially when you're looking at he's not a fast guy. And to me, in this series, whoever was able to control their preferred pace of play was going to win this game. Mm-hmm. And for the Knicks, they had to slow the game down, and it was very, very, very important for them to run their sets and to turn good shots into great shots and using more of the shot clock and limiting the number of possessions. That was key because the Pacers, they're just going to take it and they're just going to run you off the daggone floor.
I mean, 4 out of your 5 starters was banged up. OG was banged up. Karl-Anthony Towns was banged up. Jalen Brunson was banged up. And Josh Hart, he took that hard fall in the Boston series, if I'm not mistaken. And literally his whole right eye was swollen and cut and all of that. So,
yeah.
I mean,
and it just really like is like annoying because it's like you look at what happened last year where they played their guys, ran all those minutes, and they just ran out of gas. So I would have thought that you would have learned from last year, but you didn't, and that's just like another reason why I think Tibbs firing is a good thing for the Knicks. But yeah, just lost opportunity. Ben, any other final thoughts? Because I mean, you guys pretty much told me. I want to get to this Western Conference one. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start. Yeah, I'm
gonna
start this.
OKC.
Yeah. I'm just
and go ahead.
This Western Conference one, it is so. I'm such a big Anthony Edwards fan, and Ben, we talked about it, and you said it before. It's like if you're going to be considered, if you're trying to be like, there are certain players that come in the league, and what you're trying to ascend to is you're trying to be one of the all-time greats, right? Like you're Jason Tatum, you want to be an all-time great. Jaylen Brown, not so much. Ant-Man, you want to be one of the greatest players of all time. I know it's early in your career, right? But what he said at the end when they just got throttled about, he's 23 and he's going to have many opportunities. There's no guarantee you're going to have any more opportunities. Like there just isn't. Okay. And, you look at, you look at the fact that you're in the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years and you dropped back-to-back years. When those opportunities are there, I don't care. You have to take it. And for him to show out in that 40-point blowout and then that have I don't know how many shots he had in the elimination game.
They quit in that game. I don't care what anybody said.
You cannot.
That was embarrassing.
Like that. And this Grizzlies team, I saw them in person against OKC, mind you, but they are a good team. Like this is a good, this Minnesota team is not a trash team. Okay. Julius Randle is just one of the biggest headaches, and he is just absolutely nauseating to watch because he relies too much on the three, and if his three-point shot isn't falling, he's just like, whatever. And to me, it was just an absolute embarrassment, and for him, he's got to take ownership and understand, the Western Conference is only going to get better. The Spurs are coming. The Rockets are coming. The Grizzlies might be able to turn some things around. They were the 3rd seed up until February. You don't know what's going to happen with that. OKC was just the better team, and they destroyed them when it mattered most. And that's really all I got to say on that. It was just a complete embarrassment. I don't got any stats or any thoughts, but I just think that Anthony Edwards, very disappointing in my opinion.
Yeah, and to be clear, the quote that we're talking about is how he wasn't hurt, and he was 23, and he's 23, so he's going to have a lot more opportunities. Which is all, I agree with you. Those things should not have been said. But we do want to be.
But then again, he's 23.
Fair. And yes, but then what I was going to say is in that same interview, he did say, no one's going to work harder this summer than me. Now, that doesn't take away what we just talked about. He shouldn't have said those things. But if we're just going to be fully fair, he did say he's going to get to work. He said, no one's going to work harder than me this summer. I agree, though, from your star, your best player, to say that you're not hurt, at all. It essentially, it doesn't. Things aren't always as they seem, but people can take your words and apply and see how it comes off. How that comes off is you didn't really care. Not that he didn't, but it's like you didn't care that you just got annihilated. That did not bother
badly.
You lost
on the wrong side of NBA history
by 40 points or so in an elimination game. That quote makes it seem like that it didn't bother you at all, and that's not good. That's not a good look. And we're not saying that is true, but what we are saying is quotes can be taken a lot of different ways, and how things are said. The appearance of that is, we just got our asses kicked, and I'm fine. I'm good. That's not the right message you want to send as, your leader and your best player. So I do agree that was not that wasn't good of him to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, they absolutely, the first 2 games, And the last game, OKC just obliterated them. That wasn't really a series. It wasn't a series at all, really.
Yeah, and Tigney, who I would think would say something like that? Jason Tatum. I would expect Jason Tatum to say something like that.
Yeah.
But not Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards likes to be a dog. Like, no, you're pissed. That's something Jason Tatum would say. But carry on.
No, I 100% agree. And the fact that, Jason Tatum is dealing with right now, the horrific injury that unfortunately we all saw during the playoffs, and, putting that weight upon himself, how, Boston had a possible chance without the unicorn, aka Kristaps Porzingis, and then he ends up getting that horrible injury, and then just the Boston Celtics couldn't even recover at all without him. Yeah, something like that at 23 years old, but then again, he's 23 years old. So my thing is this, and I'll quickly wrap it up. If you are going to say that you are going to work hard in the off season, I better see you in the off season work hard, not be all on your social media on some kind of yacht at some kind of party, whoop-de-whoop, everything else. Yes, take moments away where you need to go and breathe the air and reflect and all that other stuff. But if you are committed to working hard and being that leader that you should be for the Timberwolves and going to try to make it better and successful next season, then the proof needs to be there, because, social media is a thing, and you all take your phones and do selfies and all this other stuff, and got people there that have cameras and everything else, and your whole crew that you're paying to do all of this content created coverage. That content created coverage better have you locked up in that gym and working on your conditioning is what it needs to be. Holding you accountable for what you're saying at the end. They're throwing a lot of money at you. You better back up what you're saying, because next season, as talented as they are, I know the Timberwolves organization as well as the fans don't want to hear no shoulda, woulda, couldas when it comes to next season and them trying to have an opportunity to take the city their first NBA championship ever. They don't want to hear all that. You better be locked up in that gym and get yourself right.
And stop having kids. Sorry, didn't mean to say that.
Well, that's just two different spectrums of the realm.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
If you have children, that's great. But when it comes to what you ended that conference with, what you said, you have made a commitment, and you wear the jersey and you rock all that. So you better practice what you preach.
Yeah, I know, Tiggy. I was just poking fun at him.
Oh no, you're
well, we won't get into all that soap opera stuff, but go ahead, man.
Yeah, I will say on Edwards, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, you might want to give him a call. I mean, when LeBron didn't have a post game or had a very limited post game, that's who we called, and that's what he did. And let's be honest, Edwards' growth offensively is getting a post game, because everything is at the top of the key, expending a lot of energy, trying to go left, right, around the guy, just a lot of energy compared to when you're posting somebody up. It unlocks opportunities for you and for your team. And Olajuwon, he has helped numerous athletes. He's always willing to help, and he would be the perfect person that he should reach out to, because after LeBron's embarrassment in 2011, it's exactly who he called and who he worked hard with that summer. And clearly it made a huge difference, and he added a lot to his game. And for Edwards, the growth offensively is at a post game, which would help him with his energy level and help his teammates get more open shots as well, because he's expending so much energy. Like, he starts every possession with the ball at the top of the key, trying to go past guys, going like that adds up. No matter how young you are, that expending that amount of effort every single possession adds up. Why do we think that LeBron looks so great in the fourth quarters mostly this year after Luka? Because he was taking offensive plays off. Wasn't doing much. He was able to do that because he had Luka, but LeBron looked great in the fourth quarter all season because he was, there were portions of the game where he didn't do much on offense. He was able to because of the teammate, but still, like, you need to create energy. You need to have moments where you're, adding, he's expanding too much energy offensively by doing what he's doing. He needs to develop a post game, and there's no better person to call than Hakeem.
This is the moments where I really miss Kobe Bryant. I really do, because Hakeem is a good one to call, but if Kobe was still here, I promise you Kobe would get in Anthony Edwards' grill about that post conference.
He would reach out. Edwards wouldn't need to reach out.
Yeah.
That's your point. That's your point. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be some hard truth and mentorship from Kobe.
I mean, he's got Michael Jordan even said himself that Anthony Edwards has more athleticism than him. And I was watching a sports radio show, and they were saying how MJ after 89, how he started to change his game and go more in the post. Can you imagine Anthony Edwards having even just a half of a post game with his athleticism? He would be a monster. He
would essentially be unguardable.
Easily.
Like literally.
Easily.
Just add a little bit of a post game and there's no answer for you.
Yeah, easily. But let's transition to one of our favorite topics, hockey. We won't spend too much time talking about it, but I figured, hey, it's Stanley Cup Finals, and we should probably talk about it just a little bit. So I'm going to talk about it just for 2 seconds. For me, it's very simple. This is the first I actually did a little research because I was like,
look at you.
Look at this. I actually did research. So
Marissa, I'm rubbing off on him.
Yeah, I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
Years,
and I had to write it down because I wasn't going to remember this.
So proud.
They were saying this is the 12th time that teams meet in the Cup Final consecutive seasons, and the first time since 2008 when Sidney Crosby fell to your Detroit Red Wings, Ben, and then in 2009 they came back for vengeance. Boom! Yep. I literally copied it. Hey, those are my notes. I thought that was cool.
Sidney Crosby is a name that we do not mention in Detroit.
Both of those series were won on the road in Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And Marian Hossa lost both years, different teams.
Oh wow. I remember that.
Both years he switched teams.
Yes, he did.
Jesus. So guys, it really starts with me. McDavid, he led the playoffs in 26 with 26 goals. I'm literally reading it off here. He led the playoffs in 26 goals. And he held scoreless in 3 of the 7 Cup Finals games last year. Huh? What about that?
Connor McDavid is trying to erase last year's nightmare when the Florida Panthers when they were up, when his team was up 3-0 in the series, and Florida went on a 4-0 run to end the Edmonton Oilers and knock them out. And then Connor McDavid was the MVP in the losing effort. He does not want a participation trophy. He does not want to be Mr. Runner-up. He wants to come after that trophy that they should have won last year, because they looked like they was on the cusp of getting rid of Florida. And for some reason, it just went horribly wrong defensively for them. Players not being in the position of where they should be. Way too many 2-minute penalties on the Edmonton Oilers, especially in Game 6, which that was a key game to just lock it up, which they should have. I promise you this won't happen twice. This is going to be a great series. The problem that the Edmonton Oilers need to realize is this is a Florida Panthers team that if you thought they were deep from that 4-0 run that they did on the back end, this is a team that they need to make sure that they look out for defensively. They are locked up defensively, and they frustrated the Dallas Wings. When Dallas Wings, on one game that I watched, Dallas Wings, I want to say Game 5, Dallas Wings had 4 or 5 penalty opportunities and scored once. That's how good the Panthers are defensively. And that's why the Wings are at home and Florida is back to back to back.
It's physicality for Florida. I mean, it's physicality for me, and really good point, Signey. I mean, Ben, it's like, to me, it's McDavid. McDavid has to play lights out every single game. He can't go 3 of 7 scoreless like he did last year. He goes, the team goes. I'm rooting for Edmonton because I absolutely hate Florida. But Florida has one of our old Boston Bruins players, Ben, and it's just absolutely weird seeing him in a Florida Panthers jersey. Yeah. Very, very weird.
Yeah, Brad Marchand.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wants the cup to match his Conn Smythe that he wanted. If they play like they played against the Wings, he'll get the Conn Smythe and he will be able to hoist the cup. But they have to figure out how in penalty situations, because it's going to happen, how to shut down the Panthers defense. They have to figure it out, and it can't just weigh on Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I'm watching some of the Panthers playoffs. It's amazing to me how fast they get like 3 goals. Like boom, boom, boom. Like there was a game that I think it was 1-0, and they scored they made it 5-0 in like a span of 10 minutes. And then the elimination game against Carolina, they were down 2-1, and then they were up 4-2 in no amount of time. Like they score fast.
They score quick.
Once they get
very
one,
quick.
You're expecting they score quick. I swear the 3 goals that made that game a blowout the previous series, it was like 1-0, and then all of a sudden it was 6-0. Like it was quick in the same period. Like they get hot and they score quick.
Jake Ottinger was pulled with 7 minutes and 38 seconds into the first period because they scored 3 goals on them. That was Edmonton. They scored 3 goals on them. If Edmonton can have that kind of energy against a heavy defensive Florida Panthers team, nobody should be surprised if it goes 7. No one.
Yeah. And
Edmonton will defeat Edmonton if Edmonton does not stop Florida from the fast scoring, staying out of that penalty box, because it was a bunch of penalties that were happening when they played the Dallas Stars.
When you kept on saying wings,
again, they have to.
Who you were talking about? When you're saying wings, I was like, then I'm like, you're mixing up the WNBA.
No, I did. Because it's playing tonight right now. But
you kept on saying wings. I'm like, who?
That was my fault. Stars.
No, you're good. Dallas Stars.
The Dallas Wings are playing right now, currently trying to get their second win against the Seattle Storm. But the Edmonton, pretty much bottom line, Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid cannot be out there by himself alone. They have to defensively make sure that they show up and give him the help that he needs to shut down this heavy Florida Panthers defense.
I mean, Tigney, you should just be our hockey spokesperson. I like hockey.
I just gotta get the names right, the teams right. I'm sitting there trying to award the Wings and the Stars. My bad. My bad, fans that are watching. Sorry about that.
Ben, any thoughts? Because I want to get to NBA Finals, and then we gotta get to your Gets Loud, because I've can't tell my hands, I'm shaking with excitement. So I'm really wondering. So we got to give you time for that. So real quick thoughts, if you don't mind. Let's get to NBA Finals.
Yep. Let me quick on the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I think that for me personally, McDavid reminds me of Ovechkin before he had a championship.
Yes.
And now Ovechkin most likely at this point will probably retire with 1, but guess what? 1 is better than 0, and that does matter. And for a long time, Ovechkin's Capitals teams had great regular seasons, great regular seasons, didn't win, and then they finally did. And for me, I think that, that's the best comparison that I can make. One of the best players in the world, or maybe the best player, it matters for you to get a championship. And this is 2 years in a row where you have the opportunity. And I think that, to your point, Jeff, I know we were talking a different sport, but there are no guarantees that you're going to get multiple opportunities. Anthony Edwards, he's 23. He most likely will be in another Western Conference Finals or Conference Finals. But actually, there's no guarantee in literally the next 15 years he will be. No guarantee. And that's the way that he was talking. So, yeah, your team's really good. You've had a lot of success. But so back to hockey with McDavid, it's you kind of got to capitalize. This is your opportunity. And yes, Marisa, you make great points. He does need help. He needs his teammates to help him as well. But this is it can be his moment, his opportunity for me to. But honestly, Florida is just so good.
Led by Matthew Tkachuk.
They're just a well-oiled machine, man. They are really, really good. I think Edmonton can beat them, but I definitely think that Florida's
if Matthew Tkachuk goes off, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a repeat of last year.
They are stacked, and Edmonton is
very
too.
much so.
I think Florida is It's very hard to pick a weakness on Florida.
Yeah.
Edmonton is the defense and goalie inconsistency.
Yeah, no doubt.
But surprisingly, on game one, they are the underdog. The Panthers are.
I mean, it's. I mean, this year it's in Edmonton. It started in Edmonton. Last year started in Florida. I mean, I think it's just the home crowd, but I'm definitely gonna be tuning into that game. I think hockey playoffs is the best playoff product in all of sports.
Yep.
I think hands down. Playoff hockey, you're glued to it. Definitely. All right, let's get to this one. NBA Finals. Spent a couple minutes talking about this. I want to get to Ben gets loud. Rockies, you suck. You guys won today. You're 11-50 now. Yahoo, boom. We talked about it. Any thoughts on the Rockies? They're just trash.
Here's the thing. I know that unfortunately they're struggling right now. I'm not even going to make fun of them because hello, my 2004 Tigers went through the same exact thing. They were 43 wins, 119 losses. I was at the game where they could have tied for the worst record ever when they played Minnesota, ended up winning that game, and we were on ESPN. There was only 126 people at that game that was a Tigers fan. So yes, to see the Colorado Rockies unfortunately go what they're going through, it's absolutely horrible. But here or there, Tigers held the worst record, and then the 2024 White Sox did us a favor. So we shall see what they're going to do, but they need an overhaul going on in Colorado Rockies. But there's always two halves to a MLB season. This is before the All-Star break, and then what could happen in the second half. But they could be the team that will surpass those 2004 Tigers to be eliminated from the postseason. Yeah, earlier than August 2nd. That's when the Tigers were eliminated. That was the fastest in the divisional era that team got eliminated out of the postseason.
Wow.
Yeah. All I'll say was, and I know they've won 2 in a row, but for the purposes of these stats, we're going to go pretend that they didn't win those last 2 games. No, but they were the 3rd fastest to 50 losses. But here's the crazy part. You have to go to before 1900 to find a team that got to 50 losses before. We're talking about 1876. The Cincinnati Red Stockings, and 1884 Kansas City Unions. The only teams that got to 50 losses faster.
Listen, when you name the Red Stockings, you deserve to lose 50.
Before, yeah, right, exactly. The Red Stockings.
Put out the red light.
Like,
Roxanne.
You're being compared to a team from like 150 years ago. That's how bad you are. We can't even compare you to anyone in the 1900s.
That's so bad.
That's terrible. Terrible.
Good luck, Colorado.
That's all I got.
Indeed. All right, cool. Let's real quick thoughts on NBA Finals. Who wins? Key players, etc. Real quick, because I do want to spend a minute getting the Cavs failure, yes or no, because I think that's a fun topic. But real quick, Tigney, Ben, on finals thoughts, real quick.
Real quick, OKC is deep, and again, it's up. Again, 2 things: the guard play, the bigs play. OKC wins it in 6, and SGA better make more room on his shelf for another MVP trophy.
I mean, facts. If SGA Finals MVP, regular season MVP, I mean, that's solidified his legacy. All you got to do is get one. But you're the best player, the best regular season team. You win the finals and the best team. I mean, there's nothing more else he needs to say. Boom. Legacy cemented. Ben?
The Thunder, just to prove how dominant they've been, there's been 4 teams in NBA history that entered the NBA Finals with 80 wins. They are one of them. So, I mean, that hands down, you win a championship, you are automatically vaulted in top 10 teams ever to win a championship. I mean, you have to be if you're in the top 5 of that and all their defensive statistics. But for me, I think that, like, I just get the vibes of the Western Conference Finals, meaning that OKC wins the first 2, Indiana wins game 3, then OKC wins the next 2. I just think the gap of talent is significant. And if Oklahoma City did that to Edwards, which we know what they did to Edwards, what are they going to do to Hallie? And what is Indiana without Hallie? They don't have another next great guy. Like Siakam is very good. He's an all-star. He's made all-star teams. He's very good. Siakam isn't going to create offense on his own. He's not a guy you can give the ball at the three-point line and have him go consistently score. That's not his game. It's not his strength. And I'm pretty sure over the last 2 seasons, I think they've held Halliburton to like 12 points and 6 assists in like 4 games. And if they do that, like Indiana's like, I just feel like if you slow down Halliburton, Indiana's not winning.
Yep.
And Halliburton is very good, but he is not Anthony Edwards. And if they did that to Anthony Edwards, what are they going to do to Hallie?
Mm-hmm.
And then to me, Indiana just doesn't have enough. And I just think that the depth and the talent of OKC is significant. And I just see it being a quick series. I think OKC would have beat the Knicks as well, but I think that would have been a better series. I think that would have been a longer series. I just fear that the gap between these two teams, Indiana and Oklahoma City, is significant. And I think it's going to be a quick series.
Yeah.
Facts. But Ben, showtime, sir.
Let's go.
I want you to get loud.
So we are going to talk about Halliburton is a prime example, but he's not the only example. What has been bugging me for weeks is listening to First Take and Get Up and all these conversations about superstars. Not face of the league, because I could go there too, but I'm not going there. I'm talking specifically about superstars. There are not that many in the world in any sport. There are not. We're using that word way too freely if we're calling Halliburton a superstar. You can't. He's not. He's not. He's a very, very good player. He's an all-star player. There's no argument to be made he's a superstar. To do what he did in Game 5 after that superb Game 4, but Game 5 to have like 7 points and like 3 assists, like superstars don't have those stat lines. And there's like, I think 14 games this year where he was under 10 points. Like you can't, you're not a superstar. A superstar is that just in itself is, there should not be that many in every sport at a given time. Superstar is like, you're elite. You are the top of the top. We can't just label any old player, not any old player. You get the point. Not everyone is a superstar. I mean, you got LeBron, you got Steph, you got Giannis, you got Jokic. I don't even know if I'd put Tatum or Edwards there. I don't think. I mean,
Ben, hold on one second. Would you say that Halliburton is a household name? Because superstar, like you said, you literally gave great examples of superstar, but would you say Halliburton is a household name?
He's not selling out road arenas, if that's your question.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly why
he's not selling out road arenas. And if you're not doing that, then you're not an attraction for the rest of every other fan base. So by definition, if you're not attracting fans to a game on road games, you can't. That's a very good question, and that's the point. You're not waking up be like, oh, I got to go see Halliburton. It's not the same as you want to see Jokic in person or you want to see Giannis in person. LeBron, if you thought maybe this was his last year, which is a possibility, and you had an opportunity to go see LeBron, like there are names that if you see them playing your team, your local team, depending upon the ticket price or the situation, I'm going to that game. That is not the feeling you get with Halliburton or like even Anthony Edwards. To me, like superstar, I mean, I don't know if I'd even go there with him.
He's just a very good player. He's a very good player. He's a great player, but not superstar.
Superstar means you're like, to me, there's only like 5. Like there's not 10 to 15 superstars. There's, to me, LeBron, Curry, that's 1, 2. Jokic, Giannis, that's 4.
Luka's a superstar.
Luka, that's 5. Like those are the obvious ones that stand out. No one on the Knicks, no one on the Pacers, no one on the Timberwolves. I'm saying SGA, like to me, you're basically there. I wouldn't even say he's exactly there yet. You win an MVP. You're the best player on the best regular season team. I don't even know if I'd elevate him to a superstar yet. I think maybe there's a very good case for him, but like superstar to me, like that is the elite. There's not, when there's companies will do like these awards every month, they're not going to award 20 people. Like they might recognize 3 or 5 people depending upon the organization, but they're not recognizing 15 to 20 people every month. Like they're superstar that has to be reserved. That has to be reserved for the best of the best. Like there is no doubt these guys are showstoppers. These guys, we will drop everything to see their games. We will want to go to their games. Like that's a superstar. You have to be at the top.
Yeah.
And you can't just call Halliburton one. You can't call even, like we said, Edwards, I wouldn't put there yet. If we're looking at like Tatum, I think, okay, we can put him there. But, he didn't win finals MVP, but, I'm comfortable saying he's there. But I'm just going by like just the playoff teams in my head. Like Nuggets, yeah, Jokic, Clippers, Kawhi, no. I mean, Kawhi when he was on the Spurs, when he was younger and he was playing a lot more, sure, but not right now. And like, so there's just not that many of them. And that word to me is just like, oh, he's had a couple of great games or good seasons, so let's just prop him up there. Like, I know Halliburton is a great player, but he's the one that has most recently been talked about and debated as a superstar or not. He's not. He's not, guys. It's superstar is for the elite of the elite. There's very few of them in any sport at a given time. It's been bugging me. Like you can't just assign that to anyone. You have to be the top tier. You have to be the top of the class. And he's not. He's a great player. He's an all-star player. And is he capable of like a superstar game? Like his game 4 was absolutely magnificent. If you want to say that he had a game that he performed like a superstar, you can say that, and I'd be fine with that. 30 plus points, like 13 assists, no turnovers. Like in that game, he was a superstar. But overall, he's not. And Brunson is not. Towns is not. They're great. Like just superstars. Just to me, you got to be like him. You got to be like way up there, and way up there should not be that many names.
God, don't hate me for saying this, and people that are going to watch this on the replay, please don't. The word superstar has worn out its welcome so bad, in my humblest opinion. I'm going to tell you why. It's because we can go all the way back to when the term super teams was happening. This was after we had, I would say, the I don't know what they call them. It's like, it's going to come to me in a minute. I'll take it back to the 96 Olympics when we had that ultimate team that had Stockton and Bird and Johnson and Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, all the ones where, that whole controversy of Michael Jordan kicking Isaiah Thomas out because they had some kind of beef and rift or whatever. Still to this day, they had not spoken to one another. And I think that we have seen that term just get so misused so many times that I personally, I think it has worn out its welcome, and media has literally worn out its welcome because they have worn out that word when it comes to people, when it comes to players, when it comes to teams, where they spend a whole segment talking about super teams and that they can go back to when the Celtics won the championship with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. To them, that was a super team. When Durant and Russell Westbrook and James Harden, when they were on OKC, that was supposed to be a super team because they were supposed to bring OKC multiple championships. We all know what happened with that. So when Kobe and Shaq were together, they, said that they were, a great team. I don't know. I heard rumblings of a super team, but pretty much I think it was just basically super when it came to Kobe Bryant, when it came to Shaq. and not so much the team itself. In so many instances, media, to get the clicks, the likes, the views, have worn out the word super teams, like a pair of shoes that is getting holes on it, but that they still keep putting them on their feet and still keep walking the miles in them. And I agree with you, Ben. It just drives me insane. The recent conversation that was said about Tyrese Halliburton. Is he a superstar? Tyrese Halliburton's job is to be a leader on that Pacers team and to help them somehow upset this heavily favored OKC team and have the Indiana Pacers win a doggone championship, something that they haven't seen in a hot minute, let alone haven't seen at all for this Pacers organization. That's it. I don't think that he is dwelling on the fact if he's a superstar or not. It is so wild that his father is getting more recognition than he is. You know what I'm saying? Like him getting in the grill of someone who was like 10 feet more taller than him. He's getting more of that notoriety than his own son, who is, the pretty much the rising star on the Pacers team. So I just feel that, in such amazing points that you made, Ben, I just feel that term has been so overused.
I do agree with you as well, but I will say this: the word isn't going away. So
that's horrible, and I hate that.
While the word still exists, please preserve it for the top of the top.
That part.
It's almost like elite quarterback. It's
the
almost
word
like
isn't
elite
going away. Like
it is.
I understand your point, Tigney, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I agree with you.
The word isn't going away, and if the word's gonna stay, just preserve it for the top of the top.
Somebody that's been in the league for 2 seasons, we're gonna call them a superstar. Someone that's had a great year, we're gonna call them a superstar. Bronny, who literally people think that he's a nepo basketball baby, and he came into the league and he's being treated differently than any other players, is become a superstar. What? Like, we're just throwing this word out here like it's a whole bunch of Halloween candy, but we're not reserving it for Halloween. We're just giving it out every single day and throwing around that term. But Jeff, you made a good point too, as what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's with quarterbacks, right? It's like, who are the elite quarterbacks? I'm like, there's really only 3 or 4 elite quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
A guy has a couple good games. Oh, is he elite? I'm like, no. NBA, Steph Curry, LeBron James, both elite.
Mm-hmm.
Top 10 great players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards is not elite. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have to win multiple championships, in my opinion, in basketball, or at least have a championship to be elite. If Jason Tatum, when he comes back and he goes and has a monster, 3 seasons, he's a superstar. But it's also about the social media. It's so much more than just about what you're doing on the court. It's also about the impact that you have off the court. Right?
Yep.
The marketing dollars, your brand, when you're walking outside, are you seeing people wear your jerseys? Are people like Steph Curry when he does the sleeping thing, LeBron, or he throws there's a brand element to this superstar thing and marketability that people don't realize, right? Kobe,
right.
Shaq. Are people buying Halliburton jerseys? No.
Exactly.
And it's also the market. I mean, Indiana. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, even Brunson. He's an amazing player. He did a lot. He is not a superstar. He's not.
Exactly.
He's not. That. I will say this though. One last thing. It just came to thought.
Mm-hmm.
If the Pacers were to win, Carlisle would have 2 out of the probably 3 biggest upsets in finals history. Because 2004 Pistons to me is the biggest upset.
Thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate it.
But 2011, the Mavericks over the Miami, Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. And then if you were to beat this team, that is a hell of a damn resume. Talk about possibly becoming
when Dirk just kept on running through the tunnel.
A superstar coach, right? You win those 2, the 2011 Mavs, and if you were to somehow beat OKC, you'd have two of the biggest three upsets in NBA Finals history, and that would be forever on your resume if you were to pull it off. If you were to pull it off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was a good one, Ben. I was wondering where you were going to go with this one. Definitely had me thinking for the last couple of days. But this was a fun episode. Glad we were able to, we went over a little bit, but it's always good chopping it up with you guys. Who wins Game 1 NBA Finals?
OKC.
Score?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you would ask me this.
I think the first one's going to be in my opinion, the first one will be closer. Game 2 will be more of like a 15 to 20 point win. I think Game 1 will be a little bit closer. Game 2, I think OKC is gonna come at them, because Indiana will be trying to make a statement in Game 1. Like, this is not going to be a blowout series. We're here to play. So I think Game 1 will be closer. I think Game 2, OKC beats them pretty handily.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go OKC, but I think it's gonna be. I don't think these games are going to be a blowout because I think Indiana matches up very well.
I agree
with OKC, right? If this goes into 100, it's really going to be I don't know. I just think that Siakam is such a dynamic player, and he is a championship proven player. And you forget he scored 26 points in a closeout game 5-6 years ago against Golden State. So I think we're sleeping on that and his championship pedigree. Being a champion matters. And for OKC, they're in the finals, so we'll see how it goes.
Don't sleep on Alex Caruso. He knows what championship is all about too.
Man,
he gets hot right off that bench and plays defensively as well as connect from them threes. He's dangerous. When he gets hot, he gets hot.
Another one the Lakers let get away from that championship team.
Yep.
Him and Caldwell Pope.
Cap casualties.
Shout out to my first place Tigers. Thank you very much.
There you go. Jack Flaherty got me 19 fantasy baseball last night.
So
thank you for that.
If your team hasn't got 40 wins, don't talk to me.
I mean, Yankees were close, but we're close. But all right, guys, it has been fun. It has been great. Episode 154. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be back better than ever whenever we decide to do another show. I don't know. We'll decide when we want to, but life happens. But hey, peace and love, everyone. Training camp starts, and as always, hail Von Miller.
Oh my God.
He was waiting for the last 30 minutes.